Bienvenidos a Participación Familiar Auténtica. My name is Aurelio Montemayor, and my co-presenters are Lourdes Flores and Eva Carranza. The session will be both with some video clips and presentations and a lot of conversation.
Welcome. This session will be an introduction to family leadership and education. My name is Aurelio Montemayor. I'm a senior education specialist at the Intercultural Development Research Association, IDRA for short. We will define family leadership in education and highlight the benefits of family leadership in education. So what exactly is family leadership in education?
Family leadership in education is very important because, first of all, it's one of the ARISE values, education. Immigrant families come to this area to be able to seek for a better opportunity in education for the children. It's an opportunity for the parents to grow. There is a hunger to learn more. How can we better support our children in education? The leadership to be able to provide opportunities for parents to learn about how they can get involved in the schools. We provide an opportunity for parents to bring out all the things that they know, all their skills. Once we start encouraging them, and once we start asking questions about the things that they do, they realize that they have a lot of skills, that they have a lot of potential to be good advocates for the children's education. The leadership, it's a strong foundation where they can take an opportunity to share with others what they have already.
So I'll pass it on. I'm sorry for the echo. Se la paso a Lourdes Flores. Good morning, Lourdes.
Good morning. Very happy to be able to share with you. I know that touch a little bit of that video, but I think we can continue speaking about our work with our community, about our ARISE. My name is Lourdes Flores, and I'm director of ARISE Adelante. ARISE has been serving the communities of the low-income families here in the area of South Texas for 35 years. We started back in 1987, an organization funded by a Sister of Mercy, with ideas and dreams to be able to empower, to help our community, and to establish a good relationship with our people in our community. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit about the outreach and engagement for ARISE, how it is that we do the outreach and how we engage with our community. As I mentioned earlier, we are a community-based organization that works with low-income families, and our goal is to be able to strengthen and to promote leadership in our communities. We have been working with our community to promote the personal development and empower the community in the immigrant community. Our belief is through the many different programs that we have done. Our belief is that we want to be able to create a good relationship, create a good relationship with the whole family, with the children, with the students, with the parents. We believe very strongly in the personal contact. We believe that our ways in which we can continue or build that relationship is by going door to door and talking to people to understand understand more about their dreams, their goals, their wishes, what it is that they want to build. Many times, and every time we talk to our community and we ask them about their dreams, of course, education, the children's future is one of their priorities. So based on that, we built on that. we receive what they have and what their dreams are, and then respectfully, and then continue building on that dream and that goal, in a very also in a manner of like helping them understand, or identifying or labeling or naming what their potential, what their capacity, what their goals, what their ability, and all the gifts and the talents that as a parent they have, as a community, as students, helping them understand what are the major again goals, and also understand what they can do, and help them realize that they have a lot of opportunities, that they have a lot of ability to be able to do for their children, help. Many of them can say, well, I didn't finish school, or I didn't graduate, or all of those different things. But through our personal way of contacting with our family, through their being respectful of who they are as parents and all that they can contribute, we help them realize that they can do a big part in making sure that they are the first advocates for their children's education. So again, we invite them when we go out and we visit them in the community, and we knock on their doors, and we encourage them to come and participate in the different programs that we offer, that we serve in our community or at ARISE centers. We we use that as a tool, as a way in which we can build on their leadership, build on their knowledge, and sort of pull out that information that they already have. And so we recognize their abilities, their talents, and we help them and provide them with the tools that they need to be able to advocate for their community. We are an organization that built or that very strongly believe in teamwork. And so when we come together, we ARISE believes that we do not do for the people what the people can do for themselves. So we encourage them and identifying the need and saying, well, what do you think you can do? What do you think are some of the solutions? What do you think that your community needs? And so then um, um, we can start collecting that information from everybody. We can start doing a what is called like start saying, what do you think are the best the best way that we can approach this situation? What do you think is the priority? What do you think is the very first thing that we need to do? And so as they're being engaged, there's a sense of energy, there's a sense of what do you call pride, and there's a sense of like, oh, I belong here, oh, I am being respectful, oh, I'm being invited to participate, I'm being invited to contribute. Oh, I didn't know I had idea, or I didn't know that I could um, add to or contribute to this plan. So ARISE is about encouraging each parent, encouraging each a student, and to be engaged, and encouraging them to contribute and to again give what they all that they have to be able to help their community. We realize that it's not about just giving. You know, although in the 4 different centers that we have, ARISE provides the English classes, citizenship classes. We have many programs that we offer to the community, all that have been identified by the community themselves by saying this is what we need. And so other programs that we offer are something that they want to participate. So also ARISE invites them to come and provide those same classes. As just a very quick sample, if somebody wants to teach at the beginning, when we first did the English classes and people wanted to learn ESL and they wanted to do the English, participate in English classes, we identified a group of 30 women that wanted to learn English. Then by that, we said, okay, do you know people that know English that could teach you? And right away, they identified the neighbor, they identified the cousin or an aunt or a daughter that finished high school and wasn't going to college, but she knew, or a young mother that was that went to school and spoke English. And so right there and then, we identify people within the community that could be their animator, as we call, somebody who's going to help them and animate them in the class, whatever class they are. So then from there, the people started, we identified a challenge, but then we identify also the response to be able to attend to that challenge within the community. So then also the people start giving what we call contributed service, what we call not so much volunteer, but contributed service, because they are returning back to the community, something that they're receiving. We're not charging them for the services, but they instead they come and prepare programs, they prepare materials that are going to be cooking, they receive volunteers, they speak about the program, they speak about their community. And so that is a way in which we acknowledge their gifts, we acknowledge their knowledge, we acknowledge the fact that they have a lot to contribute. And it's a way in which they feel proud for belonging to a community, belonging to an organization, and contributing. So a lot of this work that the community do, they feel that they don't feel like they're just being handing down information, services, and different things. So the programs is one way in which we train the community. There's other services that come in, during this time, challenges, food or donations, different things that as an organization, other groups come and want to provide for the community, and so we're with that bridge or that channel that gets to the community. But again, it's not just about handling things or giving them things. It's about bringing out what's in that community, what's in every participant, and that they feel respected and they feel that they can also be contributing members of their community or of society. In the last years, or ARISE has always had a special sense of social justice. So one of the things that we have done, once we have established and once we have built a good relationship and a good leadership in our community, by the providing trainings and providing education, we have been able to move into what we call our social justice pillars, because we feel that no matter how much training, no matter how much information, no matter how much we talk about injustices, about what needs to be done and what needs to happen, if we do not move that into an action, if we don't move that into doing, organizing and connecting with other groups that are also doing some social justice actions, then we're gonna get stuck. And so as a community, we want to make change. So our work reflects on the dreams of the community, and we want to be able to call on and invite the larger community and other groups into moving forward to bring about social justice. So again, it's another way in which we can say that ARISE does not do for the people what the people can do for themselves, because they can, once they have the knowledge and the tools to be able to speak for their community, they can come and bring in, talk to legislators at a local, representatives here in the community locally. We can do that at a state level, and then we can even move into a national level when necessary, and when on the different issues that we have identified by the community. We have seven what we call seven social justice pillars. They from being from civic engagement, immigration, health. Like we can see that on our website. But we want to be able to organize around the pillars that have been identified. But like one of the, I'll say, major or the highlights of the pillars, because of the community streams, is the education pillar. The importance of the parents in that area is very strong. And so we have been able to establish this education foundation for the youth, for the children, for the parents, by offering different programs, but also by engaging them in what we call padres activos, or what we call a group of parents that are active, that are very interested in their children's education, and that understand that if they don't speak on behalf of their children, not only their children but the larger community, if they don't speak, then their children are gonna start falling behind, and there's gonna be less and less opportunities and less focus for the children of our communities. So we provide that second level of engagement by contacting parents, youth, the school administrators, and organizers like ourselves and also use the resources of other groups such as IDRA to be able to come together at the same table and have a strong conversation, a conversation about leadership, a conversation about children's education, a conversation about college readiness, financial aid, a conversation about the proper credits that the kids can do and be taking during school, to be able to, again, reach the dream and be successful in life through having an education that is going to help them prepare in life and be able to be contributing members of society. So the education pillar, again, it's a very, very active, very strong pillar that provides a strong foundation for parents to come together and build and share their struggles, but to not to count on resources and seek resources in which they can do an action and they can work together.
Okay.
We have
Eva was knocked out by the system, so before she's trying to reconnect, let me, I was so concerned about the echo in the video that I skipped my overall presentation, so let me go to that right now and hoping Eva can reconnect with us. As I mentioned, Eva Carranza and Lourdes are part of an organization that IDRA is partners with. I'm the lead person for family engagement at IDRA. I've been doing it for many years. And in our work, we realize there's 4 paths for family engagement. A traditional one is voluntarism and fundraising, kind of considered the PTA model. But there's also, for example, efforts that schools do to help parents become better parents, whether it's workshops on how to help with the homework, managing behavior, that whole area of personal development for parents. Now, in those first two bullets, we're not looking at parents coming together to understand policy and practice and to influence it. It's a personal thing or helping the school. There's also the whole branch of self-development, whether, like Lourdes mentioned, ARISE does classes in ESL, citizenship, driving, how to get a driver's license. There's even some places where they do courses in self-defense, karate, for the moms to learn self-defense. All that's very good, but again, it's just self-development. When we talk about leadership, family leadership and education, as the fourth bullet here, is the kinds of things that Lourdes was talking about that ARISE us. One of the reasons why we have a strong EAC South project with ARISE and with the school district is because of the model of family engagement that ARISE has. And I'm hoping that Eva, the parent leader for the education pillar, is the one that's going to present on that. Lourdes, as we wait for Eva to see if she can reconnect, because it seems that she can't get back in, would you tell us a little bit of what you understand of what your education pillar does as a group? Open your mic.
Yes. So ARISE has had many opportunities of teaching or of education, of leadership, as we're mentioning, for our community. So the education pillar, really, the way we meet as padres activos, or as in even in a conversation of arts and crafts, when we hear and in the conversation, como like de comadres and compadres, when we're having a regular conversation, and we start sharing about my son, my daughter, or my teenager, or high school, or that my son is not going to school because of this or couldn't go, and things like that, we very, very strong take advantage of that opportunity, because we build upon that conversation, and then we ask questions like, why do you think that is? Why is he struggling? Do you know what type of courses he took? Or did you apply for financial aid? Or are you applying? Or do you, the date is coming up. Are you ready? And so when they start building and they start saying, oh, I didn't know that I didn't know a date, or I'm not sure what classes they should be taking, or so the counselor or the teacher told me that he didn't have to take this type of course or this type of class. We take advantage of that conversation, and we start inviting them, engaging them to come and learn more. We say, oh, would you like to have us come to a session to hear about the requirements for graduation? Or would you like to have us come to a session where we talk about the dates for financial aid? What are the materials that you need? What kind of documents you need? Do you want to participate in a parent session where we're gonna go and highlight or do a brainstorm and ideas on points that we want to talk, because we're gonna do a visit to the school? Or would you like to coordinate as parents and go visit your child's school and talk to the principal or talk to somebody at the administrator? And then, do you want to be part of this meeting? So we start inviting them to be part of that action, that visit, that class. But before that, we want to continue building on that conversation. We want to provide them with tools, because the very first thing they say, oh yes, I want to be there, but I don't speak English. I'm like, no, don't worry. The conversation can be in Spanish. Or don't worry, we can find a translator for you. Or they'll say something like, oh, but I don't know what to say. Oh, well, what you're telling me right now, that's what you need to say. What you just told me. You described the perfect situation to be able to tell and talk to your teacher or talk to the administrator. That's what we want to that's what they want to hear. That's what they want to know. And so it is that work that I think that the education pillar does, is build upon what they have and also build confidence and helping them to be able to make that transition from a very safe environment to feel that we can be at school, the superintendent, and also be safe and just be talking to him as you are talking to us.
One of the things, Lourdes, that my experience has been, if you see the two pictures in the slide that's showing, on the left, we have the kinds of surveys that the community does. There was one survey where in a two-county area, 1,600 families were interviewed about what they knew about the graduation requirements for their children, because the rules had changed in Texas, and families were concerned, at ARISE certainly, that students wouldn't be on a college track because the families that live in these unincorporated communities called colonias in South Texas have limited services and a lot of times are underserved by schools and their children not considered college material. So in that survey, they wanted to alert families in I think it was like 15 school districts about what was happening. And they found out that most families thought that their kids were on a college track. And that wasn't true. Things were changing. But if you see the other picture, I was there. It was one of those evening meetings that they have once a month. And they were reporting to the community. There was a home cooked meal that some of the ladies had cooked for that gathering, its children and families. And it's a very important means of communication where the families gather. There's information, there's conversation, a lot of dialogue, and they're furthering the education issues. One of the things that they do every year is that for each of the 4 colonias, you have these are physically semi-rural communities in that part of Texas that sometimes they don't have public transportation to those communities. But in those 4 communities, they have these committees that meet and gather and have a place, not just for services, as Lourdes was saying, it's where then they give their time, their interest, and especially the universal desire that their children get a good education. You hear it. So that have these committees that visit the schools. And some of the parents have never gone in that kind of a role where they go with another group of parents to introduce themselves to the principal and saying, we are part of ARISE and we will be in contact with you. We want to support this school to have a good education. Happens every year. And there are hundreds of families visited home to home. During the pandemic, ARISE was able to connect virtually with all these families. And because all the children had laptops or equipment that the schools sent home with them so they could have the virtual instruction, you had some grandmothers that had never connected. They were telling their grandchild, connect me because there's a Zoom meeting for ARISE. And so you have right now in these underserved communities, a very rich participation from these families through Zoom. Obviously, the meetings are all in Spanish. Educational jargon is translated in ways that make it understandable. Because as you know, education jargon is even difficult to understand for somebody with a PhD if they're not in education. And so as these meetings happen, the parents are understanding issues that are very important. The second part of our presentation today will, after the small group conversations, and there should be a special focus in terms of the family's understanding when there is an excellent program to support it, or if a school is not offering a program that they want for their children, how they can approach the schools, the school board, and things like that. In other words, these parents become active citizens in strong support to have excellent education for all the children. And this is part of the education pillar that ARISE has. And that's why we have partnered with ARISE for so many years, because they exemplify the model of family leadership and education that we've seen is what is needed, especially for families of color, poor families, families in areas that are underserved. They have to come together and make sure that they have influence, both in policy and in program. Eva hasn't been able to get back in. She's still trying. The system doesn't let her back in. I'm hoping. I was just sent something that maybe I can send to her. Lourdes, what would you like to add about the education work of the families?
I think that just one of the things is that as a parent myself, I think it's a very great. It's a great resource that we have in the colonias, that we have in the communities. A good way in which we can invite parents and remind them of the the number one reason for many families that why they focus so much or they work so much, because and they want to be able for their children to have a good or a successful life, and so they want their children to be educated. Many times families do say, I want my child to have an education. I didn't. I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to be, be a nurse, or different dreams that they had and for different reasons they couldn't accomplish that goal. So the parents are very, very interested with for their child's education. Unfortunately, many times it's being seen as they don't care or they don't get involved, but it's work, life, or other things. But ARISE provides that or feels that opportunity for them to be able to be engaged. So parents do care. Parents do have the ability and the capacity to contribute to their child's education. We just got to be able to create that environment of which that is personal, that is respectful, that invites them to share or to provide what they have. To not see them as somebody who, oh, they're poor, or they don't know English, or they can contribute. No, parents have a lot to contribute to the group. And then providing that other part about once we have built that leadership, and that once they have ready to move to another the next level, is that move towards the action, moves towards creating change, and move towards be doing that advocacy work, continue providing them. So I think as a parent, I am very grateful for an organization like this.
Okay. What I'd like to do is at this point see if we can form our conversation groups. The conversation will be around two questions. How can this kind of authentic family engagement be carried out in your community? And secondly, how can you support families of color or from underserved neighborhoods to come together to learn about and influence education policy and practice? In other words, how can you do this in your own communities? Obviously, we're presenting a model program by a very important and key organization like ARISE. So our second part of our conversation is how this work in parent involvement focused on dual language programs. But because she was cut off from the first part, I'm going to give Eva Carranza a chance to make a presentation to us, a general presentation, and then move into the advocating for dual language programs. So Eva, acércate.
Sí, ya estoy.
Ok. Empieza tu presentación.
Ok. Bueno, buenos días. Mi nombre es Eva Carranza y soy parte de ARISE Adelante y vivo acá en el Valle del Río Grande.
My name is Eva Carranza. I live in the valley in South Texas, the lower Rio Grande Valley.
Bueno, yo tengo en ARISE ya 19 años aquí colaborando, participando. Y una de las formas de crecimiento personal mía fue cuando llegaron a mi casa a invitarme a participar en los programas de ARISE.
I've been with ARISE for 19 years, but one of the things that got me involved was that they actually came to my home and invited me to participate.
Ya que el modo ordinario de ARISE para invitar a las familias es ir casa por casa tocando puertas para invitar y explicar sobre los programas que tienen.
ARISE usually goes door to door in this fashion and invites families to participate in its activities.
Y ahí empecé yo a participar en el programa mi hija empezó en el de temprana edad y yo con el programa de padres activos.
So I became part of what is called Active Parents, Padres Activos, and my daughter, who was very small at the time, was in the early childhood program that ARISE was offering for very young children.
Y de ahí me empecé a involucrar más en otros programas que tiene ARISE, pero también en las diferentes juntas que tenían con diferentes temas.
So I began participating in different themes that ARISE had.
Y ahí, pues, dependiendo del tema que a mí me interesara, me empecé a involucrar más con los programas de educación.
So what was interesting more in terms of all the topics was the theme of education. I started participating in the education projects.
Ya que, pues, a mí me interesaba más saber sobre el sistema educativo de aquí, porque yo tenía una hija que iba a la escuela.
I had a child going to school and I needed to know a lot more about how the education system worked here in this country.
Entonces me empecé a involucrar más y quería participar en todo lo relacionado con el programa de educación.
So I wanted to connect to anything having to do with the education program.
Empezamos, teníamos juntas comunitarias mensuales donde traían temas relacionados con la escuela.
So we had monthly meetings where they would bring topics related to school.
Y lo que más me impactó era que no traían temas que ellos creían que nosotros necesitábamos.
They would bring topics that they thought we were uninterested in. It was based on what they thought we wanted to know.
Sino que primero, al empezar el año escolar, nos preguntaban a los que participábamos en las juntas qué temas nos interesábamos o qué queríamos aprender sobre el sistema escolar.
They would poll us and ask us what we wanted to learn about, what did we need to know more about. They listened to what our needs were.
Y también empezaron a llevarnos a visitar las escuelas para tener más contacto con los maestros y los directores.
They would take us actually to schools to have more contact with the principals and the teachers.
Y ahí fuimos involucrándonos más hasta llegar, después veíamos que no nos hacían mucho caso, ya que siempre nos querían mandar con educadores de padres.
So we started noticing, though, that they would want to send us to the parent involvement people, the parent educators. In terms of we wanted to talk to the principal or the teacher, they would send us to the parent educator.
Entonces dijimos, pues bueno, entonces, ¿cómo podemos hacer? Entonces fue invitar al superintendente a una cena acá al centro de ARISE para que él tuviera contacto con la comunidad.
So through our frustrations, we decided to have a supper where we invited the superintendent to come have supper with us and to understand what the community wanted and needed.
Entonces fue abrir una puerta más para nosotros como comunidad que a veces tenemos temor de ir a la escuela, ya que sea que por el idioma o por la transportación no vamos.
So a lot of times, whether we're embarrassed or have fear because we don't speak English or for whatever reason, we were breaking through that. We were overcoming those feelings and having that direct connection with schools.
Fue el que ellos vinieran a la comunidad y vieran que en la comunidad la gente está interesada en la educación de sus hijos.
We wanted them, the administrators, to come to the community and to see that we are very interested in the education of our children, but come to our centers, to come to us.
Y logramos que un superintendente trajera a sus 32 directores de su distrito aquí a la comunidad para que ellos conocieran a las familias de aquí.
One superintendent actually brought over 30 of his administrators to our center to get to know our families. We met families with administrators in our center.
Entonces eso animó a la comunidad a que querían más, a que si vieron que si podían traer un superintendente podíamos llegar a más.
So then that really energized the community, saying if we can bring a superintendent to our center, we can do a lot more.
Entonces, también cuando se creó el primer PTA comunitario aquí en ARISE.
So about 10 years ago, we created what we called a PTA comunitario here at ARISE.
Sabíamos que era una agencia o algún programa muy importante, pero la mayoría de nosotros como comunidad del Valle no conocíamos el concepto de PTA.
So we thought here in the Valley, we didn't know what the PTA was, but we thought it was an important concept. And so we started one.
Entonces, quisimos tomar el reto y organizamos el primer PTA comunitario.
We took on the challenge and organized our first PTA comunitario, and that was the official name of it.
Cuando nos explicaron la diferencia que iba a ser con el PTA original, aceptamos.
When it was explained to us how ours was going to be somewhat different to the original PTA concept, we accepted it.
Ya que era seguir aprendiendo y seguir involucrándonos, en las escuelas.
We were going to continue getting involved in our schools.
Ya que de ahí yo soy parte del, como dije, el pilar de educación, y el pilar de educación trabaja en colaboración con los diferentes distritos escolares y la universidad, el UTRGV.
So as the education pillar that I oversee continues to have connections with school districts, with administrators, and with the university, we are connected to the University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley.
Entonces venimos siendo como un puente entre la comunidad y el distrito escolar.
So we're like a bridge between the community and the schools.
Ya que nosotros tenemos la confianza de la comunidad cuando se empiezan a escuchar rumores de ciertos cambios en la escuela, o los mismos niños a veces son los que nos comparten. Se está escuchando esto en la escuela, entonces ya vienen con nosotros y nos preguntan si sabemos algo, ya es como contactamos con el distrito.
See, so we actually work directly with the districts as issues come up.
Y es como hemos colaborado con los distritos escolares, ya que cuando vamos y les preguntamos esta información, ya nos tenemos juntas, y después ya tenemos una junta comunitaria que a raíz de la pandemia se han hecho virtuales, pero donde tenemos mucha participación, donde los mismos administradores ya presentan lo que está pasando o lo que va a pasar.
So we have continued to meet. We have meetings with school districts. We have regional roundtables, and we're doing it virtually during the pandemic, where we hear from schools what they're doing, and we also discuss what we need to do in these large mesa comunitarias. These are regional roundtables.
Entonces, es una forma que trabaja el Comité de Educación, pero también tomando talleres, identificando líderes, las personas que están más interesadas en involucrarse más en el sistema educativo, y nos desarrollamos a través de talleres, y juntas para aprender más.
So we have workshops, we keep learning, we keep having presentations on things that we need to know, we want to do.
Entonces también hemos traído orgullo hacia nosotras mismas, ya que, por ejemplo, este año legislativo, este año pasado, trabajamos mucho cuestión de la legislación en sistema educativo, y algunas personas que jamás habían dado su testimonio tuvieron la oportunidad de dar su testimonio, tanto por teléfono o escrito, en cuanto a algunas propuestas de ley.
So we had through these meetings prepared parents to give testimony, to give information to our elected officials during the legislative period here in Texas, and they were able to give testimony and public comment, some that had never done it before.
Esa es parte del trabajo que hace el comité. Vuelvo a repetir, es un enlace entre la comunidad, los distritos escolares, y la universidad.
So it's a bridge, a connection between schools, the university, and the community, and it continues.
También trabajamos, tuvimos una conferencia de TABE hace algunos años, donde fue un evento muy importante también para nosotros como líderes, ya que tuvimos la oportunidad de planearlo, llevarlo a cabo, tomando entrenamientos para ser facilitadoras en las mesas también, pero también siendo maestros de ceremonias y presentadoras.
So now actually focusing on the support for dual language programs, several years ago, the Texas Association of Bilingual Education was having its annual conference in the Valley in South Texas. And so it was an opportunity for Eva and her group to help plan, train community facilitators, and she was actually one of the mistresses of ceremonies at the event, which was totally run by the community. And the presentations were made by parents and students, and the facilitators were all community people in small group conversations.
De los facilitadores fueron los mismos estudiantes y algunos padres de familia que presentaron su experiencia con el programa bilingüe.
So some of the presenters were parents and students with their experiences in an excellent dual language program. Déjame decir unas cuantas cosas. One of the things that has happened is because of ARISE and the larger community's interest in that children not lose their home language. And ARISE has been supporting the language and culture of the families they work with since its founding by Sister Jerry Naughton. They noticed that there was an excellent biliteracy program where hundreds of students were graduating fully biliterate. When they graduate, they've taken actually 6 courses, content courses in Spanish, along with every other requirement, so that they have a biliteracy seal on their diploma. And so the community was very interested in seeing how this program could be taken up by other school districts. And so at that institute, with the Texas Association of Bilingual Education, this community-sponsored and run institute was to support that. And then they've continued that kind of support. Síguele.
Ok. También llevamos a cabo, tuvimos, por 7 años hemos tenido las mini mesas comunitarias que son en colaboración entre PSJA, el Distrito Escolar, IDRA y ARISE.
So one thing that we've had for 7 years now is what they call mini mesas, and it's students in programs that are either dual language or dual credit are presenting to the families in Spanish so that the community comes together and learns about these programs from the students themselves.
Donde los presentadores son los estudiantes de los diferentes programas, donde enfocamos mucho también en el programa de Dual Language, Dual Credit y programa para padres. Tenemos diferentes temas, pero nos enfocamos mucho en el de lenguaje dual.
So these mini mesa presentations have several themes, one of which is the dual language program, so that students are presenting to the families that attend the benefits of the program, the challenges, and they're doing it all in Spanish.
Y es para que los jóvenes, los mismos participantes del programa, compartan su experiencia con otros estudiantes y también con las familias de las comunidades para que sepan el valor de los programas y la importancia.
And so that parents understand the importance of these programs and encourage them to have their children become part of those programs, dual credit, dual language, and other offerings of the school district. Eva, déjame enseñar ahora el video de cuando dieron testimonio a las familias. I'm going to show a video of families from this effort going to make a presentation to the school board about this very topic.
Concerned that the school board might not continue its unique K-12 dual language program, families testified at a school board meeting on why the program is so important. As a result, the district solidified its program to ensure all emergent bilingual students can access excellent dual language instruction and graduate with the Texas Seal of Biliteracy. The far San Juan Alamo Independent School District has a model program where high school students graduate with the ability to fully speak, read, and write in both languages.
We got together as parents to put dual language part of our vision.
El programa dual nos impone, es un programa que se ofrece libremente. Este es un programa que cada familia debe de tener con sus hijos para que salgan adelante.
A mí como madre, como abuela, en un futuro me interesa mucho el programa dual. Entonces yo animo a los padres a que participen. Hemos trabajado con la mesa directiva, queremos esta póliza por escrito, que el distrito de PSJA es un gran modelo en llevar a cabo este programa.
The importance of biliteracy program is to learn to communicate with others. I think it's a great opportunity to communicate with your community and get job opportunities.
A student that is an engineer and that is bilingual, they can work here in the United States and they can compete globally.
These biliterate students would have lost their family language if the bilingual instruction ended in the elementary grades. Some would have felt embarrassment about their home language. Instead, they acquired language skills and assets in Spanish and English and succeeded academically. Students valued their families and increased their value to community and country. The program was protected because families defended it. An IDRA Education CAFE project.
Lourdes, why does ARISE support dual language programs?
Yes, ARISE believes very strongly in valuing and in building a good or a strong sense of pride in for our culture, for the culture of whatever culture it is. We honor and we want our kids to be able to feel good about who they are, about their identity, their language, and we want them to be able to again feel pride and show that pride in anywhere. As we mentioned on the video, we want we believe that a child that has a strong foundation in their language and that feels pride and that accepts and promotes his or her culture is a strong advocate also for the education. So we honor, we respect, and we encourage participants to learn more about their culture and to also know the importance of the language. Our kids that grow up here sometimes because everything's done in English and the kids have a practice and they speak English. It's a sad or a shame that they're not able to communicate. When they say, "Oh, no hablo español," or I can't speak English. Pues how could that be? We want them to realize that how do they communicate with their grandparents, with other parents, with their tias, and they need to have a strong sense of identity. So we honor and we respect and we encourage that across our programs. We also say that con educación el mundo está en tus manos. Y cultura y educación is part of what makes us or what makes anyone a strong person. Understanding who they are, understanding their culture, their roots, and their language. We encourage every participant to put that up on their children's and their grandchildren. Also, very quickly, one of the things that I want to mention is that ARISE also understands and believes that we're not here to create a perfect system. We're here to serve the people, and we want them to be able to serve one another. It's something that with anything, teach what you know is one of another belief that our community, our leader, Sister Jerry Nathan, always told us. Teach what you know. So with doing that, we also pass that on. But like when we are also encouraging others, our purpose is to serve the people, not to create a perfect system. So not to fall behind or get lost or think, oh, I cannot do it, or I'm not ready, or I need to go and or study or do other things or take more time. I'm not a good speaker. I'm not a good presenter. I didn't go to school, therefore I cannot present or talk about certain things. No, on the contrary, we need to be able to speak. We need to be able to share. We need to be able to educate and inform and give what we already know, what's in us, to be able to advocate what we believe. Share that with others because, we want to serve and we want to offer the things that we know to other people.
Let me ask Eva un poquito. Eva, ¿cómo fue que se prepararon para el testimonio que dieron para la mesa directiva de First San Juan Álamo? ¿Cómo se prepararon?
Bueno, tuvimos reuniones con las personas que estaban interesadas en ir a hablar, en ir a abogar, y primero se hizo qué era lo que ellos querían decir, cuál era su sentir.
So we went to find, first of all, for the testimony that was shown in the video, first of all, we found who were some parents that wanted to testify, who had their children or grandchildren in that school district, and were they interested, and what were the points they wanted to make?
Y ya se respondieron las preguntas, porque siempre en ARISE y en IDRA nunca nos van a decir qué tenemos que decir. Siempre es qué es lo que tú quieres presentar.
So one important point is neither IDRA nor ARISE is telling somebody what to say. The question is, what are you interested in? What do you want to say? What are the points you want to make? So in this case, in terms of support of the dual language program, what is your opinion? Why do you want to support it?
Ya que para cuando tomamos la decisión de ir y abogar directamente a la mesa directiva, ya detrás ya tuvimos reuniones, juntas, donde ya expresamos y presentamos o nos presentaron la importancia y el valor, y tenemos todo el conocimiento sobre el tema del programa dual.
So before we were made an appointment to go present to the school board, we had many meetings talking about what were the issues, what were important aspects of the program. We worked together with the dual language program itself, the administrators, in terms of what they saw, what was needed. We had many conversations in preparation for that testimony.
Entonces, para cuando ya nos reunimos para preparar el testimonio, solamente es ayudarlas a acomodar sus ideas, acomodar sus palabras para que se escuche bien o no redondear tanto en el tema.
So one of the things in the final preparation was to make sure that everybody who was going to give testimony was clear on what each one was going to say, that they wouldn't overlap or repeat a lot, that each one would make different points about it. But that they decided that they weren't told what to do. What we didn't want was overlap.
Entonces, eso es lo importante, que se respeta el pensar de la persona y son sus palabras. Cuando ellos se presentan es lo que ellos sienten y lo que ellos quieren decir.
That's what's important, is that it's their thoughts, their ideas, that they say what they wanted to say, that you respect a person's opinion and thoughts.
Por eso se ve la seguridad cuando ellas hablan, porque es lo que es su sentir.
That's why they're so assured when they speak, because it's coming from them, from their heart. Gracias. Lourdes, tell us a little bit about why the founder of ARISE saw language and culture as important.
Sister Jerry was originally from Ireland, and she understood. I believe she understood like the the struggle of identity, the struggle of being in another place, in another country, being new, and so she always encouraged us to be able to understand who we were and to learn about our culture. To also understand of coming to the United States did not mean that we had to leave our history, our traditions, everything behind. So she always encouraged us to be able to remember and celebrate the folklore, our language, our roots, our traditions. So part of ARISE culture or traditions is to celebrate and to give credit, give honor, and to give the opportunity to show and to represent who we are. So in early ages of ARISE, as we were getting ready to celebrate our first cycle, which consists of a 3-month period of offering the programs, we did a small celebration, and from there she realized how much we needed to understand more about our culture, because the children organized a small party a presentation for the students that were going to be able, for the adults that were celebrating and being recognized with a certificate for their participation in the classes. So some kids volunteered to do a dance, and they practiced, they performed that day, and they did a small dance. And Sister Jerry said to some of the staff, "Why are those children dancing?" Let's say it was a break dance, that presentation that they did. It was beautiful. The kids danced, and they knew how to dance. And so then Sister Jerry very quietly approached some staff, and they said, "Why are they doing that presentation? When you guys have such a strong, such a beautiful folklore with ballet folklorico." And so the ladies were like, we looked at each other when we said, "We don't know. Why did that happen? How did it happen?" And so then we right away we started asking some of the children, do you know about ballet folklorico? And some of them said yes, others said no. Some of them said, "Oh, we watch some dancers on TV or on the news or and different programs." And we asked the staff, would you, the community, would you like for your children to participate in a ballet folklorico? And right away they said yes, and said, in everything that we do, would you like to, or would you like to participate? And yet say yes. Once we gathered the students, we said, okay, who's going to teach them? And then we asked around in the community, who from your community, who of you know that would like to participate? And right away, we identified somebody that was in high school, or someone that had the opportunity to practice or to do ballet folklorico in Mexico. And she said, yes, I can teach the kids. And we did that. We need our dresses. We need, as you're familiarized, we know that those dresses are long and colorful and all that. And we're like, pues, we don't have the materials. We don't have the funds to purchase these type of materials.
There was a rumor that some sheets disappeared from some clotheslines because they were going to take the sheets and dye them and make the long dresses and stuff.
That is correct. That is correct. ARISE is not here to create a perfect system. ARISE is here to serve the people. So right away we found sheets and we made those nice dresses, skirts, so that the kids could be able to have their atuendo, their dresses, and present. Then from then on, at every presentation, still to this day, kids, when there's a celebration, there's a gathering, when there's end of cycles or summer programs, any type of a presentation, kids are ready to perform ballet folklorico, traditional dance. And with that is our culture, our language, nuestro raíces, our roots. And so it's a very strong value that we have in ARISE, nuestra cultura, our culture.
Okay, we have 5 attendees left: Dora, Griselda, Guadalupe, Gona, and Linda. We're all going to go to room 1. We're going to stay together, but there you can also open your cameras and your mics. So nos vamos a ir al breakout y ahí Eva y todos podemos platicar. I'm going to open the breakout room.
Yes, but it's here on the chat already. You can see it, but if not, once you close your room, the chat, then you will be able to see it and get it under email.
La evaluación. Okay. Muy bien.
Bueno, pues muchas gracias.
Adiós.
Adiós.